Episode 9, storage is finally working, so I'll quick demonstration of that. Grab a couple of these. These are test items. It's a couple of stackable things. This is going to be my my shooting range. So I'm going to have a few different targets for a few different weapons, but that's still very much work in progress. I'll grab a few for now. Grab a grenade launcher. So a couple of things I've done in the inventory itself. I can now preview things, which I think is quite neat. There's a bug with this, so if so let's select the shotgun light, so we can preview it, and then I can drop it, and the preview's still there. So all I need to do is on drop, I need to just remove this, and that'll work fine. It's a pretty simple fix. This spawning in is just a mesh with a render target, so there's no way of duping items or anything like that. It's just a visual bug. So we can drop our stackable items, and drop all, gets rid of it all, and pick them back up, and there they are. And as you can see, they've got different names because they are different items, and they don't have two sets of it in there. They do stack on top of each other rather than making two different inventory items. And that also happens in the storage. So we can go in the storage, drop off our non-stackable things, close that, go to the storage, and we get another slider. So a couple of things I need to sort out here. Functionality wise, it all works, so I can store X amount of them in there, and if I put some more in there, it just adds to that stack. I can withdraw everything. So a couple of things I want to fix. Again, it's just visual stuff. Functionality wise, it's all working. If I put some in there and then get it back out, we're still saying store here, and I think that should be take and then take all. So I'm going to change them. And also, I think if we're getting it out of the right hand side, this slider should start off over here. So it represents how much is in the right hand side, and then we slide it this way to say how much is going in our inventory. Currently it doesn't do that, so that will be putting it in our inventory, like so. But functionality wise, it's all working. And all this is in, well, say one blueprint, pretty much one blueprint. So we've got a blueprint component that we can throw on any actor we want, and it will have a storage system. So we can put it on a vehicle if you want to store things in the vehicle, on enemies, on chests and things like this. So yeah, we can reuse it. It's a very much a plug and play. Sorry, setup. So I'll do a quick brief overview of the code. There's a lot going on, and my usual disclaimer: this is not a tutorial. I will go through the code briefly, but so this is actor component where a lot of the magic happens, and you can see there's a huge amount going on here. Begin play, we just set a couple of variables and create a couple of widgets. The picking up and dropping, I think I briefly went through it last time. But my full series, this hasn't really changed. All it is I've moved it somewhere else, just to make it make a bit more sense. So the picking up and dropping is identical. This, however, this is all the container stuff. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of duplicate code as well. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with that, because it's unnecessary. It was worth doing for prototyping just to get it to work. So this section is just opening and closing the container. So excuse my mess here. I did throw this together recently, so I've got to neaten all this up. This is just setting a bunch of variables so we can access them later. So we create that widget, which is the big widget we have on the screen when we access the container, and add it to viewport. then we send this interface message to populate container inventory. So we're telling that container, you need to get all your items and put them in our widget. So that gets called down here. Now I put these in red because although most of this is player inventory stuff, all this is actually happening in a separate instance of this particular blueprint component. Sorry, actor component. This is happening within the container itself. So populate container inventory, it gets its inventory, checks if it's empty, which all mine are currently, until I put something in there. Then for every item it has, if it does have items, for every item it has, it gets that scroll box, which is on the right hand side for the container's inventory, and adds a child. So gets all the items and puts it in there for us. And it empties its inventory array. And basically when we close, we do the opposite. We get the container scroll box that we've put all the items in down here, and for each loop we add it back into its inventory, and that's it. So up here all we do is we do the same. So is our inventory empty? Nope. Okay, so we're going to get all the items and we're going to put it, instead of the container scroll box, we're going to put it all in the inventory scroll box on the left hand side. So add in a child for every element within our inventory, and then we empty our inventory too. Down here the opposite happens again. We're just getting all the stuff we put in this scroll box on the left and putting it back in our normal inventory. And then a few other things. So sending this interface to the controller just to say, set the game modes different, so we've got a mouse or we haven't got a mouse, things like that. Then on this side, this is all transferring from and to the storage. So to start with, event retrieve from storage. So this is called from the widget. So if we've clicked on the button to say we're trying to get something out of storage, it's going to check what we've got selected. It's going to add it to the player storage on the left hand side. That's it. Pretty simple. First thing it will do though is check if it's a stackable item. If it is, then it's going to do some different things which come into effect down here. This is if we're adding to the storage. So this is if we're going left to right, this is if we're going right to left. It's identical apart from we're just changing which storage we're putting things in, which scroll box we're putting things in. Over here this just spawns that slider, so we can select how much we want to put in or out of the storage. And then that slider, when we've clicked on different things, the three buttons, or the two buttons on the slider, they'll send a message down here. So it's either we're moving a full stack or a partial stack. So there's a lot going on. I could have done all this 4 times, 2 for each. So this could have been moving it from left to right and right to left, but I hate duplicating code like that, so I've done it. So the first thing we check is the item we've got selected, which is the item we're trying to move from one storage to the other. We want to figure out where it is and where we're trying to move it to. So I get its parent and compare it to the 2 scroll boxes, so the boxes are on the left or the right. And is it equal to the player storage scroll box? And if it's not equal to that, then we know we're trying to move it into that. So the item we have selected, its parent is not the player storage. We plug the player storage in because that's where we're trying to move it to. And if it is the player storage, if it's true, then we're trying to move it into the container. So we plug that into the true. And then we can use the output of here to say where we want this item to move to then. I hope that makes sense. The output of this will always be the opposite scroll box to what this item is in currently. So then it's a case of checking if there's something already in there. So we get the name of the item we've got selected, and we compare it to all the names of everything that's in that storage. And if there is something in that storage that's got the same name, we know we need to stack on top of that thing. So add our items to it. So we just add the two stacks together, which is here. Got a stack size there and stack size there. We add them together, and we set the struct of the item we're trying to move to for that stack size. So this is just a little macro setup rather than having all this, because I use this quite a lot, rather than having all this sitting in the main blueprints. I've hidden it inside a macro just to make it a bit neater. So yeah, we just set the stack size, and then we remove the item we've got selected because we've moved its numbers to the new item. So we want to remove the item that we had selected completely. All right, so that's the full stack. What goes on down here is if we don't have another item in our storage that's got the same name, so we're not stacking onto something else, all we do is just move the item we've got over to that storage. Then we clear a bunch of variables from it. The partial stack one. So here's a bit of duplicate code. So I'm going to try and merge these somehow. This box and this box are the same. This box and this box have one little difference. So I'm going to try and make this one at some point. But again, for prototyping, quickly throwing it together, it did work. So moving a partial stack, we do all the same thing at the start. We'll check if there's anything with the same name that we need to stack on. If there is, we do stack on it. The only thing different we do is we don't remove the first item that we got selected, because this is moving a full stack. So whatever we got selected, we're moving everything onto the new stack. On this one, we're not. We're just moving a part of what we've got selected. So once we've compared the names and found something that matches, we add the stacks together. We don't add the stacks together again, sorry. There is a slight difference here. We add the stack amount to the item that we've found. Now that stack amount comes from that slider. So whatever that slider gets set to, it comes through here. Once we've done that, we need to set the amount that we've got in our selected item, because we've just moved some. So again, it's just setting the item struct from that. Basically what we do, we get the stack size, whatever it had in it, and we minus the stack amount that we're moving from it. So whatever we've just put into this one, we're going to take out of this one. I didn't mean to add that pin. I'll come back to that. Then it's clearing variables again. And then down here, it's similar to up here. If there was nothing in the inventory we're stacking on, then we need to create something this time. Up here, because it's a full stack, we were just moving the item across if there was nothing else in the inventory. This time we still need to keep that item in our inventory, just with a different stack size value. So we create another item and we set its stack size and then move that into that whichever inventory it's going in. There we go. So yeah, that's that all working. If anyone wants me to go into a little bit more detail on any specifics here, then I can. When it comes to tutorials, I was thinking about doing one for an inventory, but it's not going to be anything this complicated. I'm kind of making all this up as I go along. I don't really know what I'm doing, so there's a lot of trial and error involved, and it would be impossible for me to create a tutorial of this. And there's a lot of tutorials for inventories out there anyway, that from people that know a lot more than me. So I'd recommend going to have a look at those. I will link in the description a good tutorial for this though, for the previewing. So yeah, I had a quick look through a few tutorials for this and got an idea of how it's done. So I'll link a couple, or at least the best one that I found, in the description for you. Right, thanks for watching. See you next time.